So how did you get to where you are now then from there? So you've done some freelancing, so you
Yeah,
had your own business, then moved on to doing some freelancing.
yeah.
How did you get to where you are now?
So I was working on a number of projects that came to a natural end around the time of COVID. And actually, when COVID came along, I sort of stopped. I stopped working,
Yeah.
and I actually relocated from where I was living at the time, which was in West London. I now live in West Cornwall. And so I relocated. And having relocated to West Cornwall, I thought, well, now I've done that project, relocating. What's next? And I kind of wasn't sure what to do.
Yeah.
And I I was interested in getting back into doing web development because it's something I've always enjoyed. But developing websites now is really complicated. There's when I started, we weren't websites weren't really even in color. Everything was one of three colors and a choice of three different fonts. And now obviously people expect much higher levels of design. The tech is much harder. And there's all
Yeah.
the other things around it as well, like the SEO and the marketing. And it's hard. I think it's really hard to do it as a one-man band. And I actually, because the house I live in now is a renovation project, I was looking up stuff about how to reduce my electricity costs in the house, basically. And I
Okay.
stumbled across this site that showed how much electricity the country was using. And I thought, wow, this site is amazing. Um, Very simple, beautiful design, really simple. And I thought I need to know more about the person that made this site. And the person that made this site was Kate from itseeze,
Okay.
the person that has basically designed the itseeze system. And I started to learn more about Kate and what she'd done. And that led me to itseeze. And suddenly I'm on the itseeze franchise site. And I thought, there's my route. That's my route back in.
Fits in nicely. Yeah.
I can do the bits I love, which is going out and talking to people about websites. I can make sure, I'm very knowledgeable. I have lots of knowledge and lots of little bits of knowledge across everything to do with websites. And working with itseeze, they can build these fantastic websites and also at a price point that you know small businesses can afford. For the previous 20 years, I had lots of little businesses say, "Oh, you build websites, can you build one for me?" And I used to have to say, no, because without sounding big-headed, you won't be able, because the sort of websites I work on, you won't be able to afford what I do. But suddenly the it's easy stuff meant I could go back to those people and say, yeah, now I can help you. And it will be fantastic. Because there's designers that concentrating on the design. They're website designers. That's what they do. There's a skilled tech team, and there's this fantastic editor that drives it all. So yeah, I remember it. I sent Alex at It's Easy an email, I think 2 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, and I think by 4 o'clock that same day I was talking to him. It all fell together very quickly and naturally.
Nice. So were you not potentially worried about joining or investing in a franchise that you didn't have the hands-on ability? You couldn't get hands-on in that because you're talking about in your career, you were
Yeah,
very hands-on. You did a lot of the kind of building of the websites and things like that. Whereas
yeah,
within a franchise, you said you've got a team behind you that does a lot
yeah,
of that
yeah.
now, and actually you're more almost on that public-facing side. So
Yes, yes, yeah.
were you not sort of
Uh,
worried about that as a potential kind of issue for yourself?
I wasn't quite the reverse, really, because through the latter parts of my career, and one of the reasons why I wound things down before COVID is I'd been responsible for looking after servers and managing this massive database that was driving some of the websites I was working on. And to be honest with you, the stress of that was really getting on top of me, because people expect websites to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And And for all sorts of reasons, the problems always occur on Christmas Eve and Good Friday.
Yeah.
Um, that's just the nature of things. Partly because the people that may be looking to do nefarious things on websites are active on those days, because they know that they're less likely to be challenged. And I found it very stressful. So people used to say to me, "Oh, when did you last have a day off?" And I used to scratch my head and say, "Oh, August 2001." In other
Yeah.
words, after Clockwork Web had gone bust, I had a gap before I went into other things. And since then, since sort of late 2001, I'd constantly be looking after servers and constantly making sure things worked. I remember being on holiday in New Zealand, and I was actually about to get on a cruise ship, and I got a notification to say there's a problem with one of your websites. And from Auckland in New Zealand, an hour before we set sail on the cruise ship, I was rebooting a server in somewhere in our servers at the time were in Ireland, and thinking, what do I do? This doesn't come back. Firstly, I'm on the other side of the world, and secondly, I'm about to get on a cruise ship where there's no connectivity anyway for a few days.
So what would happen now then if that issue came up with a client that they found that their website was down for whatever reason, and you're
So
about to
now,
jump on a cruise ship?
yeah, yeah. I mean, now that's the side of it that I don't have to worry about. I mean, if a client did contact me, then there's a team at itseeze that are looking after that, and not just one individual. There's a small team of techs, and we have emergency numbers for out of hours problems, which I'm glad to say I've never had to call because the technology runs solidly. Um, so yeah, but it's so my responsibility ends at communicating the issue rather than actually having to fix it. Because I guess that's the other thing, when things go wrong on a server and you're a one-man band, it's a case of, well, I've got nobody else that I can ask if there's a problem. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm on my own. Um,
So having been a business owner in the
mm,
past, so having run your own business, and I guess there's a certain level of autonomy,
mm,
creativity that you're afforded because you're the one who makes all the decisions, right?
yeah.
Does it ever feel restrictive being part of a franchise network that, um, to some degree, the way franchises work, they have to be a little bit prescriptive, right? They have to sort of
Yeah,
say,
yeah,
this is the
absolutely.
way we do things because we know it works in this way. Do you ever feel
Um,
that's a restriction for you?
it, it hasn't really felt that way. I mean, I guess there's been a couple of situations because I know about code. There's been a couple of situations where I know that if I could have access to the code, I could probably make a change. But then I have to pinch myself and say, yes, but that's not a responsibility I want anymore. I'm quite happy that there's somebody else doing it. So it means there's a process I have to go through to get changes done, but ultimately that overrules any concern. It's just freed me up. If anything, it's given me back large portions of my life that I'd previously lost, and
That's nice.
that benefit is far outweighs any of the problems by a long way.
Fantastic. So, tell me a little bit about the training to become a
Mm.
franchisee or a website consultant with It's Easy. Um, is it kind of a couple of days and off you go and sort of do this? Is it a week? What do you do
Yeah,
it face to
sure.
face? What's it like?
Yeah, so I spent a week up in Torquay, going to the offices of It's Easy every day to learn. And I mean, the learning side of it's actually very easy. I think it's more the thing that I had to keep reminding myself is during that week, it wasn't like at the end of the week I was going to face an exam. And a week was really about telling you, how things work, but drumming into us that if you've got any problems, they're there to help you. And that's very much been the case. The support has been fantastic. So really, the training was learning to make sure you use the support.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some procedural bits and pieces and understanding how some of their tech works, but really that to me was the main message I came away with from the week is don't struggle. If you've got any questions about any aspect of what you're doing, there's somebody at the head office that you can speak to. So yeah, that was the training.
Nice, good stuff. And day one, then after training,
Mm.
yeah, okay, you're not all on your own
Hmm.
completely, but you
Mm.
are to some degree, right? Because
Yeah.
it's still your own business. You still got to
Mm.
drive. You got to find the clients and things like that.
Yeah.
Were you ever afraid that it might not work? You might not be able to find clients?
Yes, is the honest answer. I guess I finished my training at the end of June. So I went into July and August. Now, in Cornwall, where I'm based, everybody in July and August is either incredibly busy or they've left the county. And for July and August, I I didn't find anybody really that was suitable. I might have had some meetings, but nothing really came of it. And again, in hindsight, I would say actually that's not necessarily a bad thing because it allowed me time to figure out how I work.
Yeah,
It's all about learning about yourself again. Because although I followed other It's Easy franchises and seen how they've worked, um, I knew that some of those approaches weren't necessarily going to work for me because they were very different sorts of people to me.
yeah,
So there's a little bit of discovery. But then I got to September and all those people suddenly came back to Cornwall and started wanting websites. And suddenly I had quite a buoyant September and October, and that really gave me quite a confidence boost. Um, so yeah, yeah, and my processes have been constantly evolving ever since then, really.
yeah. Nice. So, what in terms of developing clients, and don't
Mm.
you don't need to give me all the ins and outs, but is it centered around email marketing, networking? What's typically your kind of approach?
I think, if I'm honest with you, I think that's something I'm still refining. Um, I guess a lot of people come into It's Easy and things like that, and maybe they've got a sales background and they know how to do that. I came from a very different background. I came from tech. I came from a situation where I had a client and I'd have maybe one client that would last me for 3 years, whereas now I'm in a situation where I need to find multiple clients each month. So I think I'm still refining that. I've used tools like Bark, for instance, but now as I get a bit of momentum, I'm also finding word of mouth works really well for me because customers generally are absolutely delighted with their websites. They love their websites, so they're quite happy to talk about it. So I'm also doing quite nicely with a bit of referral marketing as well. But yeah, I think I'm still refining
Nice.
that, if I'm honest with you. I'm not a
Yeah,
great one for cold calling. That's not really something that I can do. And that's
yeah.
probably partly because how I respond to cold callers myself.
You're not wanting the
So
abuse, no.
yeah. So
No,
I mean, I'm slightly different now, but
no, of course. But I think the word of mouth thing is the most powerful
oh yeah.
lead source out there, the
Mm,
referrals, because it's a third party person singing your
mm, mm.
praises, and yeah, it leans into the whole do a good job and the business will grow, right? And
Yeah,
uh,
absolutely. Yeah. And generally, the hardest part for me is actually getting in front of a client. And once I get in front of a client, I can gush about the websites, and actually I find that quite easy.
yeah,
So I'm quite pleased with my conversion rate once I am actually with a client. Most of them are then at that stage then quite keen to progress with me because I think it's all about the client feeling as though they're in safe hands. The very fact that I've turned up and
yeah,
they've not had to talk to me over the phone or via email is a big selling point for It's Easy. Um,
yeah,
they just feel looked after. I had a site that went live this morning, and yeah, okay, because it happened this morning, it's been texts that I've been exchanging with the client. I should be going to see them next week, but they're just delighted. and it's been a painless process for them. There's been some toing and froing to get the domain name sorted out, but they've not had to worry about any of that. I've just asked them for some information, and I've done the legwork. And so they're just delighted because they just wouldn't have a clue where to start.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's having that
and that's
somebody there
rewarding.
to talk to, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Uh,
and at the same time, when I get a text from somebody that says, fantastic, oh, they're really excited about their website going live, that gives me quite a kick as well. Because yeah, it's nice to see.
yeah, it's good stuff. It's good. So you've been going 18 months now, or a bit longer than that?
Yes, about that. Yes, yeah, about 18 months. Yeah, yeah.
18 months. Would you say you've got a
hmm
successful business?
Yeah, I think I have. I'm fitting it around my lifestyle, which was one of the things that was important to me. Um, I'm at a stage at the moment where I don't necessarily want to put in the same sort of hours that I used to put in, which is basically I used to work every waking hour. Um, Whereas now I want to actually have a bit of a life as well, and I can quite easily fit the two together. I can ramp up what I do with It's Easy, or I can, if I'm going to be away, I can let it drop down a little bit. Um, so so it for me it's been perfect. I know other people might be taking it slightly differently and going all guns blazing, but for me that isn't necessarily what I want to do. So
Yeah,
yeah,
but
it's worked well.
it's
And
fit what you needed at the right time,
yeah, absolutely, yeah, absolutely has, yeah, yeah,
and I guess the potential is there if you want to ramp it up, like you
yeah,
say,
yeah,
and if you want
yeah,
to ramp it down. So yeah,
yeah,
if
yeah. And
it's flexible.
and and even in that 18 months, I've done that. I want if I wanted to, you know, a bit more income for an upcoming holiday, I can do that, and it's worked well.
Nice. So what's the future look like for you then with your It's Easy business? Is it? I'm already going to guess this. It's probably not get 40 staff and run a big
No, no,
empire.
no. No. I mean, my approach now very much with other skills is building partnerships. So, rather than employing people to do stuff like the social media marketing, for instance, and photography, copywriting, I'm finding people that I can work alongside really. So it's about doing a bit of that, finding partners that I can work with, because not only that, when I then go in to see a client and they've got a problem that I can't necessarily help them with, if I can point them towards somebody, that just improves makes me even more invaluable to them.
Yeah.
um, so that's how I tackle that side of things. But yeah, otherwise it's just generally to um, roll the thing along, if you like, grow more clients, but also work on that work-life balance, which is so important to me now.
Awesome. Good stuff. So I'm going to move on to the kind of final three questions now that I wanted to
Mm,
go through with you.
mm.
And I've given you these beforehand, so hopefully you've
Yeah,
had a chance to prep because I know the first one always
yeah,
trips people up, and that's
yeah.
what funny, weird, or strange stories have you had from your career that you're happy to share with us?
Um,
I mean, the Pete
yeah,
Townsend one's pretty cool, to be
yeah.
honest.
Well, I've I was thinking about this. When I was transitioning from working in television to building websites, I did quite a lot of freelance work in television. And
Okay.
when you're a freelancer in television, it means you have to do the jobs that maybe nobody else wants to do. And it's weird how the details I remember. I was walking through Leicester Square in London on a day off once, and I got a call from an old boss of mine, and he said, "There's a job coming up on the Sunday. Um, it's for a client you've worked with before. It's for a program called the World Music Awards, and it's going to start at midday on a Sunday. Nobody wants to do it because it's a Sunday, and it's going to go on late." And I said, "Yeah, okay, no, there's no problem. There's no problem at all." And he said, just so you're aware, it's quite possible the client might turn up, and the client's Michael Jackson." And I thought, well, that's fine because he's the controller of BBC Two at the time. Michael Jack,
Okay.
I'd met him before. He was, yeah, the controller of BBC Two. So I go into the job on the Sunday. and was out the back, me and the editor, another freelancer, because nobody within the business wanted to work that job. And somebody came in, a runner came in and said, your client's arrived, your client's arrived. And we went into the edit suite, and suddenly there's this very familiar silhouette, and we both thought, oh, no, it's the other Michael Jackson.
Yeah, oh God.
It was a hat and the shoulders, he had a mask on. And I spent, it was, I often tell people rather naughtily that I once spent a night with Michael Jackson, and it's true. It's just, it was in an edit suite with his video producer. And he arrived at midday. He kept his mask on until sort of quite late in that day, when somebody brought him some noodles with some Worcester sauce on it or some soy sauce on it. And he took the mask off and eventually got him to talk, because my job was there as an edit assistant. So your job as an edit assistant is to look after the client as well as manage all the tapes. And eventually we got talking. He'd been opening a roller coaster in Germany that morning called Thriller. Nobody knew he was there except one fan had got wise. And he said, this one fan somehow gets information about everywhere I go. She's always there. Even the press didn't know.
Wow.
That he was there. And we worked through the night. I sat next to Michael Jackson as he indicated where he wanted to go on the VT by singing a little bit of Black and White. So
Wow.
sat next to him and heard him singing live next to me. And then at 6 o'clock in that morning, he was swept off to HMV shop in Oxford Street, because they were going to open it an hour and a half early, especially for him, to browse the store before the general public arrived, because that's what happens if you're Michael Jackson.
It's proper surreal, isn't it? Like, but did
So yeah.
you know, when you sort of work with people on something like an edit, you generally kind of build up a bit of a conversation, have a bit of a laugh with them and stuff like that. Did you kind of get to that sort of situation with him where it was kind of you're almost pally, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, eventually, I mean, because people say what he's like, and I've heard it said before that when people become famous at a young age, they often get frozen at that age. And it was like being with an 8-year-old boy. He was a child still.
Yeah.
He was incredibly shy. He had an entourage of 20 people that sat outside the edit suite, and he was terrified of them. That we had to black out the window on the edit suite so nobody could see in. And when he wanted to go to the loo, obviously he asked me where the loo was, but then he wanted me to take him there and wait for him and take him back, because he was too frightened to walk past his entourage. So
Wow.
yeah, it was like dealing with a child. But yeah, once he started chatting, he was quite chatty.
Sort of opened
Yeah,
up a bit.
it was nice. It was an interesting experience.
Yeah, definitely. You
And
got some stories from it anyway.
yeah,
So
yeah. It's that one occasion where some other producers that were working on the show knew that it wasn't the controller of BBC Two, and it was the other Michael Jackson. And they'd actually brought in copies of Thriller to sign. And usually when I worked with celebrities, the last thing you do is acknowledge that they are a celebrity and ask. You certainly don't ask for autographs, but somehow Michael Jackson was this exception.
was the one
And
exception, yeah.
he was delighted to sign people's CDs, and I was just kicking myself that I didn't have anything. So I just stood in the edit suite and thought, I just need to fix this in my memory and make sure I never forget. And I haven't. That was
Awesome.
I think it was 1996 that
Wow,
happened.
that's
So,
pretty
yeah.
cool. That's a cool experience. Cool story as well. So what's your proudest moment from your career?
Yeah, well, there's been quite a lot of those. And I was thinking which one to pull out. And I think something that I guess changed the course of my life in a way was I mentioned that I did a job for the radio presenter, and that was free. But my first commercial job was working for an agency that was based in West London. And through that agency, I built the first website for Toy Story, the video release of Toy Story, for Disney. So my first professional client was Disney,
Jeez.
and my first website was Toy Story, and they were delighted with the site. I'm glad to say it was I mean, it would look rubbish now.
Yeah, but still, again, that's a mega project to be working on, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think by all accounts, probably a bit of a nightmare client because
yeah,
the agency that I was working with was having to have conversations with Disney 9 o'clock every night because of the time difference. They were steering it from Burbank in California, so the other people in the agency were, um, yeah, having video calls nightly, late at night, and I was protected from all of that, and I just got on with building the website. But obviously, it was good. Um,
do you miss having
but
mega projects like that to work on? I mean, let's say mega. I mean, they're kind of
not
prestige kind of level jobs with big clients, that kind
no.
of thing.
Th- I I think um, the trouble with the big jobs is nobody really ever says thank you. Uh, um, you know, so when you work in the BBC or doing stuff for Disney, you know, they might be pleased with your results, but nobody actually says that they're pleased. Whereas now, when I deal with individuals, I've had other clients that give me a hug. Do you know what I mean? They're genuinely delighted with what they got, and that's rewarding. So the prestige jobs were really useful at the beginning of my career because after that I could basically go on and say, well, you know, there weren't many websites around, but I used to be able to say that I'd worked for Disney and I'd worked for the BBC, and they were two names that everybody knew, and it opened a lot of doors.
Yeah,
Uh,
awesome.
so it was helpful then, but yeah, but I wouldn't want to do them now.
No.
No, no.
Cool. So, the final question then to wrap up, and thank you
Mm,
so much for sharing some of your stories, your
mm,
career, and how you found it's easy and your kind of experience with them. Um, the final question though is, if you were sitting in front of somebody who's about to invest in a franchise,
mm,
whether it's easy or any others, what would your
mm,
one
mm.
piece of advice be?
Make sure it's fun. Make sure you want to do it. And I think, yeah, I mean, I've alluded to some of that with some of the things that I've done in the past, and that when I built an agency around myself, it stopped being fun because I was managing people and I didn't enjoy doing it. And at that point, it becomes hard work. So I've generally found that if I enjoy doing my job, I do it well, and if I do my job well, actually the financial rewards follow. Um, if you start chasing the money, if you just do something just because the numbers look amazing, then if you hate it, it won't work. So yeah, that would be the most important thing. Make sure it's something you actually want to do and it's enjoyable. And with I guess the next stage, once you've established whether it's something that it's something you want to do, is with a franchise, make sure the support is there. I can't underestimate that. Overstate that enough. Really, the support from It's Easy um, makes it easy for me as well. You know, it's 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 an enjoyable experience. The people are lovely, so
They're
I
part of the
enjoy what
fun,
I do.
right?
Yeah, it is. And it sounds a bit corny and cheesy, but everything else just falls into place if you're enjoying what you're doing and you're not frightened to pick up the phone because you're going to speak to people that are lovely.
Yeah,
Then
you've got to surround yourself with the right people who
oh yeah, yeah,
who are with you on the journey to having fun.
yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, I think it's so important to
Mm,
meet the support team
mm,
at any point that you can do in the decision making process for a franchise, because it's going to
mm.
be some rough times, there's going to be some good
Yeah,
times. You
yeah,
just got to
yeah,
be able
yeah,
to get through all of that with them, and yeah, out the other side.
yeah, yeah.
If there's a team that are going to be miserable or going to bring you
Mm,
down or are
mm.
not going to do the work, that's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
fun. So
That's right.
chasing the fun's important, and making
It
sure that the
is.
right people are on that fun journey with you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, before the week of training, I had a half day, just a discovery day with It's Easy, and during that discovery day, I just thought, yeah, there's a match here. I mean, I asked them if they thought I was going to be good as well, of course, but
What did they
I
say?
got. Oh well, I'm glad to say they agreed.
Good.
Um, but I just felt that the people that I met, a lot of individuals on that day, and I thought, yeah, these are good people, and the company feels good, um, and that's important. And I guess that helped me because I built a company, and the atmosphere maybe wasn't so good when I was building Clockwork Web due to inexperience. But the culture is good within It's Easy, and that filters down to us as the franchisees as well, I think.
Good stuff. And it's good that you still got that as a reminder, right? We go through those things in life and
Yeah.
those experiences that act as a reminder. Don't do that again.
Yeah,
Do something different. And it's good to hear that you're in a good place now and enjoying what you're doing, and have found a good balance to your work and life. So
definitely.
Stephen Bennett, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a real pleasure speaking with you. And thanks very much. Have a good one.
Thanks very much. Thank you.